sure that I can see all the comments from everywhere. And trust me, it takes everywhere anymore to be able to see our comments for some reason. So I don't know. We'll go with it, right? We'll just do what we have to do. So I'm going to put you down here to the desktop. Today we're going to make some ephemera. We're going to use some paper and make some ephemera. Easy, no sew, and I hope that you will enjoy being able to use scraps. You can make this stuff from scraps, or just go ahead and use it in, use new papers, whatever you want to do. That's the joy of making ephemera, is because you can just use whatever you have, and do it, right? So let's get right to it. Coming up after me. So this is kind of a short day. I think we've got maybe 6 people today. So we already had a Cheryl from Mama P's Crafty Creations, and then Lydia, Paint Party with Lydia, and then me, and then we are going to have, after me is going to be Christy from Funky Junk Inspiration, and then rounding out our afternoon is going to be Bev from Bev's, Bev's, okay, let me take a breath. Bev's Creating with Love and Whimsy. Whew. Okay, there we go. We got it all in there, right? So let's see who's popped on so far. Hey, we've got Jeannie and Estella, Lisa, Jeanette is here, Patsy Ray, Pam, Lisa, Cheryl. Hey, you guys, I hope that, hey, Kathy. So, you guys, I hope that you are having a wonderful day, and let's get going here. Let me see. I lost my screen I was looking at. Let's get down to the desktop. Oh my goodness. And it's empty. It's clear. It's free of everything. You guys, I found this and I thought, you know what? This would be perfect for what I want to do to start with. It's just a map page, and I like to use some of these. It's been fun to use in some of those friendship journals on a journey, like to put something in a map page from somewhere that somebody is from, right? So that's kind of a fun thing. And then when I thought about what we're doing, I'm like, oh my goodness, this could be perfect. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to rip some off here. Okay, so we're going to just take some strips. Now, I don't know, this, I may be sorry I tried to do it like this. No, this is working out okay. Now, the thing about this is we can use any size paper strips that we want to, but we're going to like fold them. We're going to do kind of they're going to look pleated. How about that? That's a good way to describe it. They're going to look pleated, but it's going to be fairly easy. And then I thought, well, you know what? These things from these big atlases, they're pretty, they're pretty easy to maneuver. So I thought, well, why not do that? That would be kind of fun. So I'm going to take this and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and try to make a fairly straight strip. Okay. And you know what? While I'm sitting here, I might as well do another one, right? And I could do it at a different size. I'm going to do one that's a little bit wider, because I want you to see how it doesn't really matter the width, and how we can put them together different widths. Okay, let's just start with that, and then we'll go from there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take this edge off, because this would be really cool if we can. Let's see. You know how an atlas has those little strips on the side that helps you navigate? Oh my gosh. I wonder how many kids can read a map these days. I've had to travel across the country several times, and all we had was a map. So that's how that goes. when my husband was in the Navy and we would have to go somewhere else. You know, I'm just going to start with a big one because that'll be easier to show you with. It'll be pretty easy. So all we're going to do is we're going to kind of pleat these. And so you're just going to do like this, and we're just going to hand fold them. And so you just want to kind of leave, you know, an even amount out here. So I'm gonna fold it up a little bit. Let me pull us down a little bit closer. And I don't know how much closer I can get. Oh, not much. I'll try to show you though. And so you're just gonna kind of try to do these evenly. And that's why when I thought about using this matte paper, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be perfect because it is thin enough that it's easy. It's about, you know, I would say it would be kind of like printer paper, right? So it's going to be super easy to use. How many of you like to make your own ephemera to use with your paper crafting things? You could use these in journals. You could just use them, you know, whatever you want to do. Other projects. I'm just going to say other projects because I know so many of you do so, you know, I mean, we just have a variety of crafts that we all do, right? And there's just no right or wrong thing. We just like to be creative. And, you know, honestly, it's really not that hard to get these pretty even looking, just doing it like this. And it doesn't really matter how much, you know, you've got tucked behind in this fold that I'm doing. Doesn't matter, you know, if they become a little bit wonky and they're not exactly even. That part is just not going to matter. Now when I get to this end strip here, I'm going to show you the easiest way to add your next section on, okay? So if you wanted to just keep doing it, and here's the thing, if you just keep going and going, when you're done, you can roll it up, and then you've got this roll that you can cut from later on. So if we were going to continue this section, all we would have to do, so we've already got this piece here, I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to go ahead and I'll show you what we do. Now this one is a different width, and that's okay. So all we would do is take our glue, and you want to tuck this one under here like this. Put it so that the edge is tucked under like this. And then that raw edge isn't showing, okay? So we've got that. And then you can just continue on. And now we've just got a shorter piece that we can use. And see how this part, you know, didn't get cut straight? I don't care. It's going to be fine. You know me, we don't have to do it perfect. Nothing has to be perfect. And oh, well, I'm not going to say that because I'm probably the worst. If there's something that I want to look just the way I want it, then I want it to look just the way I want it, right? How many of you are like that? I mean, you know, and then, but I mean, you don't always have to be like that. Okay, so I've been kind of doing this. Okay, so I'm going to put this up here so you can see. See how much I've got folded behind? I would say that this section here that's flat is about twice as long as, you know, as when we fold it back. But you just have to do what's comfortable, right? You just start doing it, and it just has to be kind of comfortable, and you can kind of get in a groove with how you're, you know, folding it. Okay, so now then, this is what I was saying about using this piece. Now, the way that we're going to do this, we're not going to sew it. We're not. I said it was going to be easy, and I meant it. So all we're going to do is we're going to take this. Now I think I'll put it on. Oh, look, I got this on both sides, so I didn't even have to worry about that. You guys, what in the world? Okay, let's do this. I'm just going to put it on this piece so I don't have to worry about messing around with it. And then I'm going to lay them flat. I'm going to have to kind of hold it, and I'm just going to put this down the center as best I can. Okay, now that's going to hold them. I don't have to sew it. I don't have to do anything, and that's just going to hold them. So you can either do it like that, or you could fold them up and then put your glue down the center here. Either way, it's going to work. just like that. And this paper, you'd be surprised, you guys, how much wiggle room it feels like this paper has. Mount Dora. I love, you know, it's so fun to see on these maps the things that show up, right? And the one thing about using this map paper is look at the color scheme that we've kind of got going on. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. Oh, I don't think I got any glue under here. Again, tiny needle nose glue tip to the rescue. Okay, so we're just going to keep going. You guys, well, I've got more of that than I've got this part. Let me just go ahead and fold this up real quick so we can get to the end of that. And then, but we're going to add some other stuff. You're not going to have to sit here and watch me pleat paper for my entire segment, okay? I promise. I promise you. Oh my goodness. Oh, some people are saying they've got storms. We actually have a kind of a bright sunny day out today. Now this piece I'm going to leave down here at the end. I'm just going to leave that one alone for now. And I think I'm going to put the glue on my strip this time. I don't want to work too far out because it's too messy. Now, I don't really care about, I mean, I'm okay with mess, but, you know, it needs to be somewhat controlled, right? And this thin paper, I'm kind of getting out of the center here, but because the paper is kind of thin, it's a little bit easier to manipulate it back to where you want it to go. Okay, and then put these down here. There we go. And now I'm just going to put it on this part because I don't know how far to do it on my strip. So let's just do that. Okay, there we go. Now, if we wanted to end it at this point, which I really don't, but if you wanted to make it the end, if you were going to use it and you wanted it, I don't know, I mean, if you had a reason that you needed it to be different on this end, you could tuck this under and just use it like that. But you know, maybe you want to have it kind of rough and, you know, just kind of, I don't know, uneven. Let's just say it that way. So now then, we've got that like that. So now what else are we going to do? Well, if you were going to sew it, I mean, you actually could sew it if you wanted to. And you could, you know, stitch a straight stitch. You could do zigzag, and that would be kind of fun and cute. But let's add some other things onto it. Now, the thing that I was actually going to do when I had this idea, I showed you guys these the other day. When I was with Close to My Heart, we could buy these sample packs when we would get a new thing of papers. We could get these, and you can see this is a quarter sheet of like a 12 by 12. And so we would have those, and I've got all of these, and I'm like thinking, I pulled them out the other day, and I thought, well, I forgot I even had them. And I thought, you know, what am I going to do with all of those? I mean, yes, they're handy, but, you know, they're kind of difficult to deal with, right? I mean, what are you going to do with just this much? And I thought, basically, they're scraps of paper. And I thought, you know, this could kind of be fun. So I thought, why don't I punch some things out? We could punch some things like this. Oh, excuse me. You could punch some things. You could layer them. Let me get a different size. Let's see. Let's see how this looks. This wouldn't be too bad. I mean, this is a lot more red. Oh my goodness. There's quite a bit of yellow that is, you know, throughout this. Let's do a little yellow piece. But before I do that, and I don't really want to do like just, I mean, this is interesting, yes, but how can we make it more interesting? What if we used some kind of a stamp on it? Let's use a stamp. And I'm just going to take this Just going to use some black ink on it. I love this stamp, you guys. I look for giant stamps, big background stamps that have a variety of things on. Now, I mean, and it doesn't have to be a variety. I love having big background stamps because it allows you to add some interest to something that, I mean, just easy. It's just super easy to add some interest with something like this. So I think I'm going to actually do it. I'm going to put it like kind of right about here. And I'm just going to put it like this. Well, actually, you know what? Let's just ink the whole thing and stamp it on this piece of paper. How about that? Imagine that. Now, I've talked to you before about when you stamp things, and sometimes you want a piece of that foamy stuff underneath. But the reason you want that is because sometimes, and especially like with acrylic stamps, they have no cushion. And so when you've got rubber stamps that were wood mounted, they typically have this tiny amount of cushion beneath them. And so you don't really need to use that for something that's like that. So I'm just going to stamp this on here, and I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Now, one thing about these big stamps is if you turn them over and you press them like this, you're more apt to get a fairly good impression. There we go. So that's not too bad. I mean, that's not too bad at all, right? So I could go ahead and I could do this other section just a little bit more on the side. And you know, I'm not going to be able to see exactly where it is. Now, if I was using my stamp platform, I would have an idea. And I'm just going to turn it this way. And I'm just going to put it on here. Hey, that wasn't too bad. Look at that. Wow. It's almost like I planned it on purpose. Don't you love it when a not a plan comes together? I love it. Okay, so we've got that. And now when we cut a little piece out, it's not completely void of any interest, right? So we've got something on here, and now we can just lay this on the top. Let's layer it though. What else can we put under it? Oh, I had one I already cut, didn't I? What did I do with it? Where'd that little thing go? Here it is. So we can just put this on here, put this on top of it, and now we can lay this on here and layer it. And you could still add some ribbons. You could do whatever you want to. In fact, there's no telling what crafters have laying around their desk, right? You know, it could even be something you were looking for, and then you didn't know what happened to it. There's no telling. But I think I'm just going to put this, and because we can snip these across, I'm just going to put it like this. I'm just going to put it down here, and I want it to stick, right? I got to have it to stick under there. And then we can lay this. Now, really, it would be smarter if I would use some Fabri-Tac on here. It would grab faster. You can use hot glue. You can use whatever you want. Fabri-Tac gives just a little bit. It actually works, you know, super good for fabric. Okay. And I want to tell you from experience, Fabri-Tac and Fabri-Fix are not the same things, you guys. And if you read about them, you would think that Fabri-Fix would be great, but it's really not. Now, you can see this has got a lot of, you know what? I'm going to move this. I don't like it there because I don't even see any of my pleating. Let's move it here. This will be a lot better spot. And then I'm going to put a little bit on both sides there so it'll grab. So if I put it here, then we can see some of our pleating. That was kind of worthless, right? How many of you have made anything like this? Have you done anything like this before? I mean, and we're just looking for some easy little things that we can add to. Now, if we wanted to, We could even add, you can just keep layering. You know how you can layer, layer, layer. And it's like almost the more you layer, the better it looks, right? It just adds more interest. The more layers, the more interest, the more fun. So you could do that. And then what else could we add on top? Let me see what else I've got laying around here. I had something else. I don't want to use that on this one. But anyway, you see where this is going, right? I mean, we can just keep going, and then we can add, let's add another something something over here. And they don't have to be all the same. But I do like this one. This is kind of a nice size to put on here. And we'll just move this one over here. Let's add a little bit of whatchamacallit, ink. Let's add some ink. Hey Linda, how are you? Oh. Karen says she's a perfectionist and it's not always a good thing. Right, Karen, I hear you. I hear you. And I think sometimes in doing this kind of stuff, I think it sometimes can help you let go of that, right? And like I said, it really depends on what the project is. And you know, some things that I do when I'm paper crafting and it's like a paper build, you know, yes, I am more apt to want those to be, I need them to be more exact and more precise, because if they're not, they're going to be, you know, they're not going to be as, they're not going to turn out like I want them, right? Now let's do this. We're going to do something different this time. And we could, you know, watch me dream it up as I go. Which is all the fun of crafting, right? That's part of the fun of it, is you just kind of dream it up as you go. But look, you guys, isn't this a lot more interesting to have a little bit of something stamped on it than just this piece? And so a little bit of stamping and a little bit of ink, and look at how much it is. I mean, and look, even the way they designed their paper, this is right on the paper. Look how fun that is. That adds a little bit of interest as well. But you could actually take these and start kind of layering them like this. Let me see. Let me do another one. Where's the other one? Where's that piece I was just using? Oh, it's this one. Oh, it's just the back side. Let's do another one. We're going to do a threesome here. 3 for the price of 1 on this segment. I mean, because you never know. I mean, sometimes you want something larger on your, oh, I'm inking the wrong side, you guys. Sometimes you want something a little bit bigger, right? You just never know what you want to use for your crafts. And so sometimes you need something bigger, sometimes something smaller. And so this time we could just put that there. So let's do that. Now, I'm going to move it down because then I can still cut a longer piece across here. I want a number though. I want those numbers to show. So I'm going to do that and glue them to where I can see them still. Okay. So that's going to be, that's kind of my guiding thought on this one. I want to see a number. I don't know. How many of you like to see numbers when you're on stuff? You know, I mean, when you're making things or when you've got projects, how many of you like to see numbers on them? Let me see. I want to make sure I got an 8 there, or it's not necessarily the 8, but I want to see a number. So I'm going to put this part down first, and then I'll tuck this one in. Tuck it in there. Like this. Okay, and now I can use my little applicator nozzle and glue it down. So now we've got that. Now what I can still do to pull it together is I could still run, you know, another piece through here, or it can be something totally different. I don't like that. Let's do something different. Look, here's a piece that's got a little bit of I like this. I'm just gonna, and I don't, you know, I want to just tear it, I think. I don't want it to have this super straight edge on it. Now, it's gonna be, will we be able to do it though? That's the question. If I hold it tight, I hope so. That's one of the nice things about these stainless steel rulers. And when you've got this cork back on them, it makes it really so much easier to deal with. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a little strip. I can't see underneath, so, and I don't even know if that's gonna be straight, you guys. But we're gonna do it anyway, right? And then the trick is, as you're tearing things, be sure and hold it tight as you tear down the length. So you can't, if you're going to tear something, you can't hold it up here and then expect that it's going to tear right sometimes down here. You've got to kind of move along and hold the pressure down as you get along the length of the paper that you're tearing. Oh, this isn't too bad. That's not too bad at all. And then we can put this along here. And maybe we don't even, maybe we just tear a little bit of this, put some here. Just tear a little bit off. Actually, I kind of like this side because it's kind of got that same yellow color. Okay, so then we're going to have something else on there. I mean, that needs help, right? And some of these things, I don't know, I really don't. As we move along and I'm, you know, putting other stuff on here, it's like, okay, well, what am I going to put on there? What am I going to do? Well, you know, let me look over here and see what I might have for some kind of little embellishments to have. Let me look. Let me look in the bag of dots. Most of these are like enameled. Oh, this would be fun and cheap. Look, it came from, pretty sure that, does anybody know, does that come from the tree, the D tree? I think so. I think that's the brand. So we're just going to put a little bit of this on here. Numbers are great in journals, right? Oh yeah, a number. You could, you guys, and I don't have that handy stuff ready. In fact, you guys make sure that you later today I'm gonna go ahead and I have a great idea that is gonna be for Tiny Tuesday this week, and so be sure and watch Tiny Tuesday this week because I think you are going to love the idea that I have. It is for storing some of your ephemera stuff. That's not too bad. It still would be fun to have a bigger number, but I don't have any of my big numbers over here. There we go. Look at that. Look how crazy that is. But you know what? That could be just fun for something. You know, just cut it apart like that, and then you've got something different and fun. Here's something that you would trim, and it's just a smaller little thing. That orange is kind of funky with the with so much red, but it does kind of coordinate with the yellow. It looks good with that. But you know what? You just never know what might work when you're in the middle of trying to find stuff, right, for something, a little something along the way. Okay, so now, and you wouldn't even necessarily have to have. Now, we've looked at how it looks pleated. We wouldn't really even have to pleat it all. Where's my paper? Oh, there it is. We could even just put a piece in here that's a plain strip. Excuse me, as we move on. So, I think kind of, you know, and you can make skinny sections if you want to. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this at about an 1.5 inches. this is kind of a nondescript color. It's kind of a blue-gray. And so, you know, if I slide it in here, and this is what I was saying, take these, and when you're ready to make a new section, slide it in this section and bend it over, okay? And then if you need to, I mean, we could kind of angle cut that, but you know, this would be a perfect place to cut one off. And you don't have to mess around and make sure that you know exactly what you want for when you use it. Just leave it, and then you know, when you do get ready to use it, then you'll know, do I need to cut these little angles off? Is that going to drive me insane? Or can I just leave it like that? And you know, then that'll give you plenty of time to do it. So I'm just going to put this in here. I'm going to put a little bit down here to make sure it lays flat. And then I'm just going to fold that over. But this is what I'm saying. Maybe when you get ready to use it, you want to trim this off, you know, give it a little bit of an angle or something so it looks more like, you know, like it was supposed to be there. Does that make sense? And so we could do the same thing. I mean, we could just keep running our strip down here if we wanted to. We wouldn't even have to. The reason we used the strip down here was because it was actually holding our pleats in place as we glued it in. But you know, that you don't have to do that. Let's do, and maybe we want to put, maybe we could do something fun like this and actually put pleats more on. Maybe we could, hang on, I have another idea. Let's try this way. I'm going to cut a piece. I want it a little bit thinner, a little bit more narrow. What did I do that one? Was that 1.5 inches? I don't even know. I'm going to do this one much smaller. And then, you know, maybe we cut this part off. Maybe this one doesn't even, in fact, I'm going to. I'm going to cut this one here. You guys, I'm just going to stick these on because otherwise they're just laying here on my desk with no purpose, and they'll just be lost anyway. Okay, I'm just going to cut that like that. Now, on this part, and maybe I should have tucked this under here too, but we could do a little bit of pleating on another piece that's narrow, and then our pleats are in a different spot. And maybe this time the way they are attached is by gluing the bottom part and letting the top be a little bit more open. Does that make sense? I'll show you what I mean. Okay, I am going to try and tuck this under here. I should have left it a little bit. That's okay. And now I'm just going to put my glue along here, squiggle it on some, and now I'm just going to lay this part on. So now then, for this one, our back piece is the part that's holding it in place. And I'm just going to hold that down for a second. I'm just going to leave that little hole there. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. So now this part is like raised up a little bit more. You've got a little bit more interest and texture with it like that. That's not bad. How wide was that? I think I'm going to cut another piece and go on farther. That is not a measurement, I know. Although, it was 2 something. It's about 3/4 inch. So let's cut another little strip and just continue that so we've got a little bit of room going down the edge. So 3/4, I really thought it was about 1/2 inch. I tell you though, 1/2 inch would be hard to deal with because it would be so much harder to, you know, grab it and fold it, right? So now we're just gonna, you know, pick up where we left off and do some more folding. Hi Tammy, how are you doing? Okay, Now, one thing about, when you only have a little small piece, you're not going to get a lot out of it, right? But that's okay. And see, this time, now because I did that, I think I'll just go ahead and I'll push it all the way over to here. That seems like a good idea. And you just kind of play around with it and do what works. I don't want it to go too far because I don't know how far out that goes. So I'm just going to shove that under there and then push my pleats in. Yeah, I ran out of glue. Almost got it to the end. Do this. Oh, where is my thing of buttons? Okay. All right, so we could do that like that. Now, let me grab something else, you guys. Let's grab, this is fun. Let's add a little bit more to it. Now, you have to remember, if we're going to be folding it, it's going to be, or not folding it, if you're going to roll it, the thicker that you get it, the more interesting and odd it's going to be, right? I'm going to grab a couple of this pieces of this tissue paper. And let me grab some buttons. Well, okay, hang on 1 second. Let's wait on the buttons for 1 second. Okay. So we've got that going on. And tissue is another thing that squishes up really great. And we could bunch up some tissue. So one of the things about doing, this type of a project is it's such an easy way to continue to, add some texture, right? We could just bunch this up. And you want to just kind of, this stuff for sure, you want to just kind of glue as you go. And then the other thing about this is, if it looks like some of it is too loose, just stick a little bit of glue inside there too. And I mean, it doesn't really, even if it's coming off the side and you don't, it's not exactly in the center and you've got it still peeking off of, the edges of this paper, it's okay. You could trim a little bit off if you wanted to, but look how cool that is all bunched up. So tissue paper is, can be a fun thing to add on. Oh my goodness. And you know what? Sometimes there is beautiful tissue paper. In fact, we've got some, I don't do it. I haven't even seen where, to get any, but I know we have got some of our creators that if you order something from them, oh my goodness, sometimes they send the most marvelous pieces of paper that your stuff might be wrapped up in. Now this, I'm just going to take a tiny strip of this and I'm just going to cut it because I think that black with this background could look really pretty. See, we can put this along there. I kind of like that. That way we really have a strong contrast, right? So we can put some of that there, and I'm just going to put my glue along here. And you can either make these to where they are super long and kind of a running thing, or you can make them to where, let's say this is the end of this one, and you don't even have to guess, right? It's like, okay, this, and you might want to leave a little bit at each side. And that way, if you wanted to, you could do a little bit of a dovetail on the sides, right? On the ends. That would be fun. Okay, let's see. What else could we do? Okay, so now I got out those buttons. This could be fun. Now the thing about once you start adding some buttons and things is because it is going to get bulky fast, right? And at that point, you might decide what you need to do is start cutting them apart. You might need to cut them, and then you've just got, you know, you throw them in something, and then you've got a bunch of, you know, ephemera pieces. What about, I don't know if we want something dark for that. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm open to options. Audience participation. Hi, Celeste. Hi, Missy. What color do you think we should try to put on here? You know, for those of you who ever have buttons and things like that, do you look at something like this and you see buttons inside and you're like, oh, that would be really cool right here. And then you're like, oh, but do I want to use it in that spot? What if I want to use it later on something better? Just like, you know, do you guys do that? Or is that just me? And then look at this crazy. This is a big one. I mean, you could do, look, this would be kind of fun. Put this giant button that you can kind of see through on here. That's kind of fun. Or, you know, we've got so much of this color down here. Oh, look at this, you guys. Oh, I kind of like that. I like that. Let's see if we find some other thing. And maybe this would be somewhere where I also grab out. Oh, I've got, I found those little dots the other day that were gold. I put some of those on something I was making the other day. Let me grab them. We could put some tiny little gold ones along the side here. Let's do that. Now I'm going to try something. And I hope I don't ruin it because I've done this often. When you got one of these buttons that has this shank on it, you can take your craft scissors let me see, I don't want to use those. I've got one pair here. Where is it? It's the one I took the photos for the video thumbnail. Okay. You know, you got to have your scissors for different things, right? We're not using the fabric scissors, that's for sure. But where are those? Because I have done a ton of cutting of weird stuff with those. They look the same as the Tim Holtz small scissors like this, but this is not what they are. No, they don't even look like that now that I look at those. Okay. I do not want to mess up a pair of scissors though, but I want to show you what I'm talking about. I'm just going to do it anyway. Okay, you can take these and you can cut those things off just like that. I'm looking at my scissors and there is like absolutely no damage to that. But be careful. Don't use like your very best scissors and try that. I would not recommend that. But now we don't have that big bump sticking up, and now we can, it's going to glue down better. I think though that I want to use some Fabri-Tac because it's another pair of runaways. I know, Linda. You know, send out the bulletin because those guys have gotten away. You know, and they're the worst offenders. The scissors are the worst offenders in the craft realm. I tell you. So that's a nice glob there, and that'll stay nice. I'm going to have to get some more Fabri-Tac. I thought I had a brand new bottle, but I was looking for it the other day, and I do not see it. So I'm going to have to get that. Okay, now then, I'm going to take these, and because it is something for embellishment, I'm going to put some little dots of glue along here. And then I'm going to set these on there. And that way it just makes sure, because that adhesive that is on these kinds of things, check where you found the other pair. Well, the fact that I know they were laying here and I took a photo this morning, I know they can't be far. So there is that. Oh, I can't remember, Linda, where the fabric scissors appeared in the most bizarre place. They had slipped down somewhere to where I couldn't really see them at all. And when I finally found them, I'm like, well, no wonder I couldn't find them. I couldn't see them. They certainly were hidden. I thought they'd entered the witness protection program. So I'm just going to put those there. Man, look at this, you guys. For having, oh, here's another tip. Are you ready? If you want to space things out evenly like that, and you've got like an uneven number, take one, put something at both ends where you want it, and then you can eyeball where the middle one is a lot easier. That is one of my best tricks, I tell you. That one has saved me so many headaches. It just works well. Now, the glue on here, even though it has popped out from the edges, it'll dry clear, so I'm not worried about that. And then I know that these will stay on better. Look at this. This is cute. Look at this piece. Look at that. Who would have thought that would become so fancy from some wadded up tissue paper and scraps of paper, right? And this part, you know, you could, if this is like bugging you that it's not even. Well, here's the thing. If you just squish it up a little bit more, then you can see more of this edge, right? And I mean, you could trim it a tiny bit if you wanted to. I'm not going to go as far as to do that. No need for that. Okay. So that's kind of fun. I like that. How many of you guys think you might try something like this and just do, you could just sit down. Now, the thing about this is we've got all of this contained right now. You need wire cutters. Jeannie, yes, I do have some wire cutters, and those are great for snipping off those too. They really are. And then you don't have to worry about, you know, hurting a pair of scissors, which is true. Now, I don't like this here. It still looks like it needs help. So let's put some kind of a button or something there. That'll be perfect. And I've got those pieces of broken jewelry too, which those would be pretty. I want something. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Let's put a red one. I don't even know what I'm going to do with all these red things. Do I use that much red in my crafts? Probably not. Well, I don't know. Let's try something else. Let's make it to where it's more versatile. Let's just put some kind of a off-white button. Maybe. Okay, that's not bad. You like that? But if we're going to do that, we probably need a tiny bit of thread or something in it, don't we? Okay, let me think for a sec. Oh, here it is. I was going to say, I just saw this. You guys, you can get more mileage out of a spool of this crochet cotton than, oh, well, you guys, it already has a little bit of thread in it. Well, I didn't even see that. Well, I'm just going to leave that then. Anyway, you can get so much mileage out of a spool of this. It's incredible. So if you have a chance, and they come in more colors. I just find that one really super useful. And you know what? Let's go back and use a dot of our Fabri-Tac on this too. Simply because that thread is going to make it bump up a little bit. That thread in the center of it. So this way, I don't have to worry so much about it being flat. So there we go. That orange is a little bit wild, but who knows? You know, I've been known to need some wild color combos, and I don't really like that it's only got one piece there. Where was that? Let's stick in some more, shall we? Shall we? I I just feel like it needs another little snippet in there. And, you know, that's what's so fun about just making these things as you go. You can just keep stuffing stuff in if you want to, right? Now, we've got this in here. How are we going to get that in there? Let's just poke it in. I'm just going to use my scissors. Poke that in there. And let's make it look a little bit more attractive with where it is. I want it to kind of lean. I want it to lean over this way. There. I like that. I like it better anyway. Better than before. And now with this, you know, if I was going to use this, then I could trim these off however long I want. At this point, I would just leave them like this because I don't know for sure what I'm going to use them on, and then I could for sure, you know, trim them off later. And I don't know, I still think that needs a little bit of, I don't know. That's the kind of thing that once you decide where you're going to put it, you know, then you have the opportunity to, you know, add to it or make it better for where you're placing it, right? Does that make sense? If you're going to place it down on something, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, I wish this had, you know, a little bit of this kind of color or that kind of color. And then you can add it. And, you know, that's what makes it, you know, very easy to personalize. And this is kind of a crazy piece with the, I don't really like all of these on there. I wonder if they're stuck down very good. It's too much. Too much red on there. I don't really like that. I feel like I want something else on there. And that's not it. And now that's tearing the paper there. Then that's okay. Now I have the opportunity to do something different. I don't know. What do you guys think on here? It needs something different on here. I don't like that. I'm not sure, but this wasn't it. I mean, this is cool. In fact, you know what? This could be kind of fun just along here. Maybe just, and not so many. Maybe it would be fun to put like these, like on these, in between those spots for those numbers. I like that better. Coming up after me is going to be Christy from Funky Junk Inspiration. We'll see what kind of funky thing she's going to do. Now, she told what she was thinking about working on. And I thought, oh, that sounded so much fun. So we'll have to see what she finally decided. You know, a lot of times we get ready to do things and we have an idea, and then, you know, we can always change our mind at the last minute, right? So look at this. This is, oh, I like this part way better. This is much more interesting, I think, because now we've got the little numbers in here. We've got a little bit of texture here. It's a little bit of ruffling. I don't know. I don't know what to put here. I haven't decided that. I don't know. If I had a little bitty thing of a flower punch like that, I might even layer smaller ones along here. That would be kind of fun. I don't know. What do you guys think? And then there's still this piece. We didn't do anything with this piece yet. And if it really bugs you and you don't want it, you know, flipping up, you could put a little glue underneath these sections if you wanted to. There's just so many ways that you can, you know, work with this stuff and just, you know, have some things ready to go. So you've got some options for some ephemera. But look, we didn't have to get out the sewing machine or anything. You guys, this is my favorite. This turned out so cute. You know, who thought some wadded up paper would be so fun. But I like that one best so far. Which part's your favorite one? Now this one isn't even done, but here I am asking which is your favorite, and there's not even, that one's not even done. You know what? That's kind of fun. I kind of like that. If I put something underneath it, oh, I have an idea. I'm just going to trim a tiny piece that's thinner than that center strip. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to trim it, and then I'm just going to do a little dovetail at both of these sections. I'm not even going to worry about it getting super straight. Out of there. And you shouldn't pull them though. You can rip your paper if you pull. You should snip. Okay, so now we can put that on there. And then we've got, I want it a little bit thinner. I just want it thinner, thinner, thinner. So it's just a hint of something on top of there. Like this. You know what? I'm gonna ink it. Oh, I gotta get Christy in just a second. I'm gonna ink it because it will make those edges stand up, and I'm probably gonna use my trick where I ink things afterwards and do the edge of that other one too. But let me see. If we do this, put this on here, and then we can put this button in here, and that looks so much better. I like that a lot better, don't you guys? Don't you think that really changed it a lot? And then if we use our trick of taking just a piece of paper so that we can come back in and add a little bit of ink to something that we missed the edges on, like this. It'll just bring that, the edges it'll show up a tiny bit better, right? A little bit. I mean, it doesn't need much. And you guys, you can also take a paintbrush. Take a tiny paintbrush and use that for something like that too. But now we can lay that on there, and then I like this so much better. I really like that. I think that one turned out great. You guys, thanks so much for being here today, and I've got to take 1 second here and get Christy in over here. Which one was your favorite though? Did you have a favorite today that you liked? I hope that you enjoyed something there. I hope so. Let me see. You guys, I have been having the hardest time trying to find people to get them shared in. I have no idea what the problem is. It doesn't come up on my phone like they used to or like they should. Oh my goodness. There we go. So thanks for bearing with me while since I have to get the people in and out, I appreciate your patience while I do that. It just takes a second, but we got to get our friends in, right? And there she is. So if you're on Facebook watching in our in the Crafty Bunch group, all you have to do is just go ahead and refresh your browser, and then the next person is there. And it works that way when we have any events over there, you guys. But thanks for being with me today. If you're watching on YouTube and you have enjoyed this, I hope that you will subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Although sometimes some of these things are so wild, I often wonder. I always wonder, what in the world did they think of this crazy thing today? But you guys, it's so much fun, and I always enjoy being with you. So you guys take care. Bye-bye.